The farthest I've ever ridden a motorcycle in one day was 531 miles on this, my 2019 Triumph Speed Twin 1200. Today, we're going to break that record by riding from Washington, D.C. all the way to the tail of the dragon. Good morning, Van Fam. It's about 5:20 a.m. here in DC. I had hoped to leave home by 5, so I'm already a little behind schedule, but I think we can make that up pretty quick here. The plan is to jump straight onto 66, which should be pretty smooth sailing at this time of day, and hopefully we'll be on 81 by sunrise. Looks like the sun is just starting to think about coming up. We are 107 miles into the trip, about 90 minutes in, and we are making our first fuel stop. Thanks.
You look like you're ready to go to California.
Thank you. Alright, back on the road, 7:12. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing today and why. A little while back, gosh, I guess it was like 3 years ago at this point, I posted a video of the longest ride I've ever done on this motorcycle, on my 2019 Triumph Speed Twin. It was actually the longest ride I've ever done on any motorcycle. And on that day, I rode from Asheville, North Carolina, back to my hometown of Washington, D.C., for a total of 531 miles. It was an experience. You know, people don't tend to think of naked bikes like this, retro bikes like this, as tourers. But I've done a lot of touring on this motorcycle, and I kind of wanted to just see how far I could push it into that role of a tourer. And I got it done. I mean, this is a 1200. The bike can make the journey no problem, but I was losing my mind by the end of it. I was so tired. It was a 13-and-a-half-hour day, and a lot of it was on the freeway, and freeway riding is boring as hell. I really only recorded the video that day so that I would have something to do while I was riding. But sure enough, as of today, when I'm recording this, that is my most viewed video of all time. So you can understand the temptation to do a follow-up. The other reason I wanted to attempt another long haul on the Speed Twin 1200 is that I have since modified the gearing. I've gone from the stock 1642 sprocket setup to a 1639. What that did is it stretched out the gearing ever so slightly so that the motor turns a lower RPM at any given speed in any given gear relative to what it did before. And to be honest, it made a pretty big difference. It feels like this bike grew a 7th gear and didn't really sacrifice any acceleration at the bottom end. I've found that this made long stints on the highway a lot more relaxed. If the bike isn't working as hard, then neither am I. I know that doesn't make any sense on a technical level, but it does for me. So knowing that this new gearing has extended my fatigue range on the motorcycle, I wanted to find out how much it was extended by. Now the trip we're on this weekend is once again down to Asheville, North Carolina, which is pretty much my favorite place on the East Coast. But if I were to ride straight there, I wouldn't break my all-time distance record. In fact, I wouldn't even be matching it, because on that last long ride I didn't take the most direct route. I kind of alternated between highways and mountain roads and country roads just to try to break up the monotony. Today though, I'm going for maximum miles, all freeway, all day. And that means that in order to break my record, I'm actually going to have to overshoot Asheville and double back. Just how far am I going to overshoot Asheville? Well, scanning around the map when planning this trip, it didn't take me long to realize that the tail of the dragon is just a little bit further. It's maybe an extra 100 miles or so. So the plan became ride from DC to the tail of the dragon, then to Asheville in one day. I figured that if I hit the road as early as possible, stuck to the highways, and kept my stops to a bare minimum, I can make it happen. and might even be able to get to Asheville before dark. We're a little over 2 hours into the trip now, and we've covered 126 miles. We're on Interstate 81, which I'm sure is going to jam up before long. It always does. I'm actually cruising a little slow right now at about 70 miles an hour, and that's just in the hopes that you can hear me over the wind. So I'm going to stop talking for now and speed up for a little while. I'll check in with you later. Alright, just made a quick pit stop where I spilled water all over myself. We are at 183 miles. You know, normally my enjoyable range on the Speed Twin is like 250 miles a day. That's if I'm riding the roads that I enjoy riding the most on this bike. But covering mostly freeway, I mean, I've gone almost 200 miles and I feel like I'm just getting started. Now I am about to do something that I almost never do while riding a motorcycle. I'm going to listen to some entertainment. I'm going to put on an episode of High Side, Low Side. Normally just the sound of the bike and the joy of riding is enough to keep me entertained, but a long slog like today feels like the right time. Catch up with you in a bit. Just like that, it's time to stop again. This will be stop number 3, fuel stop number 2. In the episode of High Side, Low Side I was just listening to, they talked for a little while about the dangers of fatigue and how on long rides being either overly tired or dehydrated or underfed can be seriously dangerous. I've read elsewhere that exhaustion can affect your judgment and reaction times as much as being drunk. So it was a good reminder that on an ambitious day like this, I do still need to be taking care of myself. I want to go to that Sheetz because that probably has the best bathroom. The way I'm managing my time today is with a method that I refer to as the stop budget. I have budgeted myself 2 hours worth of stops between home and the tail of the Dragon. The idea is, when I stop the bike, I resume my stop budget timer. As we begin stop number 3, I have 1 hour and 16 minutes left. Okay, that's stop number 3 down. Man, that was 20 minutes? Time flies. All I did was get gas and pee and eat a couple bites of trail mix. I was just saying I want my breaks to be frequent but short. I think that's the ideal way to keep myself going strong but still maximize time on the road. Let's see, I already reset that. We're at 266 miles, which I believe is halfway, or very nearly halfway, to the tail of the Dragon. As you may have seen a minute ago, traffic on 81 is beginning to pick up, which is no surprise. It's a Saturday, so everybody who's going to take a trip to see some fall color is probably doing it today. It does make me a little bit worried about what kind of traffic we'll encounter at the tail of the Dragon. I have to imagine that Saturday afternoons are about as busy as it gets there. My goal is to get there by 4 p.m. I think the photographers leave around 5 usually, 5 or 6, but the last time I was there they were packing up at 5. I figured if I'm going all the way there today, I want to have some action shots to commemorate it. Welcome to Tennessee, the official state of the 3-star Dragon Ball. Guys, when I tell you that time flies when you're taking a break from riding, I mean, we're at this rest stop here. I just ate a little wrap that I brought from home, went to the bathroom, called my sister just to coordinate my arrival time. I'm staying with her in Asheville, and that ate up the rest of my stop budget. I have nothing left. Fortunately, I am doing really great on time. It's 1:30 now, and I think I have about 2.5 hours to go to reach the tail of the dragon, and that puts me there at 4 p.m., which, to be honest, that 4 p.m. goal was already an hour earlier than I really needed to be there to get my photo. So we're doing fine on time, and I'm going to take a minute to talk about the motorcycle. This is my 2019 Triumph Speed Twin. It is the backbone of this YouTube channel, and it's about to hit 22,000 miles. I just recently had the 20,000 miles service done, and I also just had new tires put on the other day. So this thing is as fresh as it can possibly be for a road trip like this. My luggage solution is pretty dialed in, still using my SW Motec Blaze saddlebags. These bags are 14 liters in their default state, but you can also zip out these gussets that expand them to 21 liters each. But I don't use the gussets anymore. I've started using compression cubes for the last couple years, and honestly I can get a road trip's worth of clothes in there without having to pop the sides out, which is fine by me. They look a lot better when they're tucked in like this. My GV Dolomite 30-liter top case. Love this thing. I'm not camping on this trip, so I can use this space for other things that I wouldn't normally bring with me, like my laptop, proper pair of shoes, and my Nikon F4, which is my biggest camera. This Kriega bag here is where I keep all layers related to weather. So my rain layers, my warm pair of gloves, which I just changed out of because it's warming up pretty good here, and an extra quilted layer to go under my jacket if I happen to ride on a really cold morning or something. This Fly mini tank bag here, got my sunscreen, GoPro batteries, and snacks in there. It does the job. Some of you will look at a bike like this and look at what I'm doing with it and say, where's your windscreen? Where's your cruise control? I don't have either. Cruise control is nice to have sometimes to give your hand a break for a moment, but it is absolutely not necessary to cover big miles in a day. It's a luxury item. Wind protection is a personal preference. Some people just have absolutely no tolerance for wind blast on the highway, and I'm the opposite. I'm not bothered by it at all. If anything, the little fly screens that are available for bikes like this make the wind more annoying because they concentrate it into jets that hit only specific parts of my body or helmet. I would rather have a completely naked bike and just let the wind be evenly distributed across my body. It's much less bothersome for me that way. But you may not feel the same. You may find it very tiring to experience wind blast on the highway, just like I find it very tiring to have my engine turning a high RPM for a long period of time. Full wind protection is nice, I will say. I have enjoyed the quietness and smoothness of the bikes I've ridden that have it, but I just find that sitting in that pocket of stale air gets really uncomfortable after a while. I think I would only enjoy a bike with full wind protection if I were riding really, really long distances and in a climate that is not as gross as the east coast of America. Now, the biggest weakness of this bike as a tourer is the seat. The seat is, I would say the seat is like one step above a sport bike seat. It's not that comfortable. It's not even as comfortable as other Bonnevilles in the Triumph Modern Classic range. I've thought about getting an aftermarket seat, but none of them are waterproof, and there's always those inflatable pad things. But I don't know, I've just never really bothered with them. Anyway, we are at 421 miles on this trip. Let's keep going. At my last stop before this one, I was feeling great, very confident. I felt like I hadn't used up anything yet. And now, I've definitely used something up. My comfort and energy is noticeably ticking down. I've got plenty left, but I am catching myself yawning quite a bit. It doesn't help that I got like no sleep last night. I just could not fall asleep thinking about this ride. I was laying there, 1 a.m. with my eyes closed and my heart was just pounding. So hopefully I can hold it together for the remaining, probably about 6 hours remaining in this journey. I'll be getting to Asheville just a little bit after dark. What I will say regarding fatigue, I know there's still a ways left to ride, but I can conclusively answer this now. The stretched gearing has made such a huge difference. My mind is not on the motor at all. Cruising at 80 in 6th feels completely natural. The bike is turning about 4,100 RPM. Cruising at 70 is completely effortless. It's absolutely nothing. And when I need to overtake, the bike still easily gets up to 90 without having to drop a gear. But 80 is my preferred cruising speed. That, to me, feels like the right balance between forward progress and risk. Oh, and in case you're wondering, at those cruising speeds, the bike is averaging about 50 to 55 miles per gallon. Alright, and just like that, we are done with the freeway between here and the Dragon. Stopped at Buc-ee's as I got off the highway, which I had never been to before, but is completely insane.
Brisket on the board! Brisket on the board!
I know people are super hyped for it, but, I mean, all I needed was 2 gallons of gas and a bathroom. It took a lot more time than I needed it to. But it looks like we'll be getting to the Dragon in about an hour. I never did hit any bad traffic on 81, but unsurprisingly, out here on the country roads, there's a lot of people out enjoying the fall color and the perfect weather. Now, there is one other thing I'm a little bit worried about as we make our way into the hills. See, I'm recording this about 5 weeks after Hurricane Helene, which devastated huge portions of this area. A lot of places and roads have reopened, and a lot have not, and even more are status unknown. In fact, according to Google Maps, the tail of the Dragon itself is closed, but I happen to know that it's really open. However, there are some other roads nearby, 28 being the one I'm most concerned about, that say they're closed on Google, but I can't find any confirmation that they're actually open. If 28 is actually closed, then that's going to extend my trip by a little bit. Oh man, it looks and smells like it rained here today. That was not in the forecast. Alright, the last leg of our route down to 129 has us taking the Foothills Parkway. I'm tempted to stop at all these overlooks, but I gotta remember, today the mission is the mileage. Alright, fine. I can stop at one overlook for a good photo.
A picture of you and the bike?
Oh sure, why not?
You don't always get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
That's probably the best one.
Cool, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one. Alright, we're wrapping up the last couple miles of the Foothills Parkway, and that means we're about 15 minutes or so from where the tail of the Dragon properly starts. It is about to be 4 o'clock, and that means that we are just about on schedule. I'm going to take a couple minutes to stop at the Calderwood Dam overlook to get a few shots, but I think as long as I don't take too long there, I can probably count on getting my photo before the photographers leave. You might be thinking that it sounds like I am more concerned about getting a picture of myself riding the Dragon than I am with actually riding the Dragon. And that's because I am. Like I said, today the mission is the mileage. I've been to this road before, I've enjoyed it before. I'm not expecting to get my money's worth, so to speak, out of the riding experience today. It just served as a nice, meaningful punctuation mark, a good turning around point to extend this route down to Asheville long enough to break my personal daily mileage record. Just got a little B-roll here at the Calderwood Dam overlook. It is crowded here, so I'm glad I got my photos on the whatchamacallit, Foothills Parkway while I had the chance. It is 4:30. And look at this. Look. As we're leaving Calderwood Dam Overlook, I am at exactly the mileage that I did on my last big long ride. 531. In 0.3 miles. This will have become the longest single day of riding I've ever done. I'm gonna let this guy go by. Actually, I think I'm gonna regret that. Okay. Yeah, as I predicted, pretty Saturday afternoon on the Dragon is a bit of a zoo. Are you going to let me by? I might let you by and then I'll go. There we are. The last time I did a video at the tail of the Dragon, some people, a very small minority, but some people were complaining that I was riding too slow. Well, let me tell you, I ain't gonna be going any faster today. I'm just here to ride my own ride, get from one end to the other, get my picture so I can say I did it, and move on. Although this is a very special destination road, once again, today, the mission is the mileage. Yeah, pack it up. Man, I got here right on time. Okay. I don't know if that Dragon was slain, but, you know, took a couple HP off it. Here's where we find out if 28 is actually open. Well, I got what I wanted out of that. I didn't come here with a thirst for adrenaline, and my expectations were met. That's all I can say. But what is cool is in that first mile after the Calderwood Dam Overlook, this became my longest day of motorcycling ever. And you know what? I'm feeling a lot better right now than I was the last time I hit this mileage. My butt is sore for sure, and the rest of me is starting to ache a bit too, but I'm not hurting. Anyway, day's not over yet. I see no signs that this road is closed, so I feel like we're probably gonna be fine. I take 28 to 74, and at some point I'm gonna have to stop again and bring up directions. But until then, I'm just gonna enjoy this cruise. Honestly, this road is more enjoyable to me than the Dragon. That's a pretty common sentiment you hear around here, that 129 is like the spectacle, but that it's kind of overhyped, and the surrounding roads like this and what's that other one? Cherahalla Skyway are the ones you really need to hit. And I agree with that, especially on a crowded day like today. I think last time I was really lucky. I think I hit the Dragon at a pretty good time. Alright, so I just asked the folks at Fontana Village Pit Stop if 28 is really closed, and they said it is open. I did just use Google to route myself to my sister's place in Asheville, and it said it would take 2.5 hours, but that was with me going around what it believes is a road closure. So once I get past that point and from 28 onto 74, I'll bring up the route again and see how much shorter it gets. It does also seem that there is some rain heading my way. Alright, so we go to Almond. So this, I'm still on 28 and it's gonna meet 74. So this, when we pass through here, that's gonna be the true test. I do trust what that person said at the gas station, but I'm not turning the route on until I get past it. Otherwise it'll just be yelling at me the whole time. Let's boogie and hope we can keep ahead of this rain. If it does catch me, it's probably gonna catch me in the dark. Recording before I passed that cop, but let's just say that was a close call. Okay, looks like we've done it, right? We're on 74 east, left. Hell yeah, dude. I don't think they saw me. Dude, that knocked 50 minutes off the estimate. Us being able to drive through that road that I thought was closed shortened my day by an hour. That's awesome. Alright, so I'm only going to get there half an hour after dark, and it might not even be raining. This is just swell. Guys, if you made it this far into the video, if you're still watching, then you are the real Van Fam. Sound off in the comments so that I know you're here. While we're on the home stretch, perhaps I can conjure up some sort of a conclusion for this video. What was it that I was trying to learn and why? I mean, obviously the bike is capable. Any motorcycle can cover 500 or 600 miles a day. What are we at now? 576. We'll probably be over 600 by the time, we'll definitely be over 600 by the time we get there. There was no question that this motorcycle was going to be capable for that kind of distance. I think what I wanted to find out was, same as last time, would you want to ride that kind of distance? And honestly, despite going farther this time, I feel better right now than I did last time. I have some aches and pains, you know, my butt hurts and my helmet feels really heavy, but I'm not losing my mind like I was last time. I think pulling this kind of distance on this motorcycle, the way it's set up, is totally doable. I mean, I'm not looking forward to the next time I do this, but if I wanted to, like, take a little trip in upstate New York or something, and I just wanted to book it up there in one day, not waste any time getting there and back, I think this would be a really feasible way to do it. Do like one day to get up, 3 or 4 days of riding around up there, and then one day to get back down. Or maybe the last 2 days, you know, I take a scenic route back down. What I still have my doubts about, however, is if I could do this again tomorrow. If I could do this consecutive days in a row. You know, in 2020 and 2021, I towed my motorcycle out west to Colorado and then Montana. And unsurprisingly, some people gave me a bit of grief for that. Why didn't you ride it? Why didn't you ride out there instead of towing the bike? And I had many reasons for towing it instead of riding, but one of them was that is just a lot of freeway miles. And even if I can pull this off today, I'm not waking up at 4 again tomorrow. No way. I think if I wanted to do multiple consecutive 600-mile days, I would need a motorcycle that's more comfortable than this one, and also that can cruise at even higher speeds than this more easily. I'm talking about like an FJR or a Concourse or something where you can just sit at 90 or 100 all day long without breaking a sweat. A big part of me wonders if a Rocket 3 could do that, fuel range notwithstanding. For all my talk about not needing or wanting wind protection or cruise control, I do think that if I were to attempt a multi-day cross-country odyssey, you know, 600 miles a day, 3 days in a row, like let's say if I was going to Colorado, then I would want every edge I could get, every advantage to maximize my fatigue range, my daily range. Even though I say those things only make a minimal difference for me, for that kind of trip, even a minimal difference is worth it. Anyway, that's what's going through my head at the end of this 600-mile day. I'm sure I'm going to be feeling it tomorrow, but I'm just so amazed at how doable this has been. As always, I want to thank you all very much for watching. It's your views and support that keep me making videos like this. Last time I asked you what was the longest you had ever ridden in a day on a motorcycle. This time I want to ask you, what would it take for you to break that record? Would you need a different bike? Would you need modifications to your bike? Would you need to chart out a very specific route to maximize your daily miles? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to close out these last few miles to Asheville, and when I get there, I'll let you know what our total distance was. We've done it, gang. We have arrived. Whew. After it got dark, everything really caught up with me all at once. My whole body is sore, and I could fall asleep at any second. Speed Twin did great though. Didn't miss a beat all day. Still on that same tank of gas I got from Buc-ee's. And let's see. We rode for just under 13 out. No. Just under 14 hours. And we went, drum roll please, 643 miles. No windscreen, no cruise control. I'm not topping that one for a while. Good night. What's up?
Oh my god.
I just pulled in.
That's so, okay. How'd it go? Are you okay from rain?
Yeah, I didn't get rained on at all.
Oh, you didn't?
I drove through wet.
It just dumped rain on this wedding 3 different times.
Really?
It was a 0. There was no rain in the forecast this morning. And so we made the